The NFL draft just happened, or is this week, depending on when you're watching this. And here's my question for the next few minutes. Where is JT Daniels going to go in the 2022 draft? Now, Matt DeBerry joins me as always, Dean Legge from Dawg Post. Here's a question, y'all. You know, JT Daniels has got another year of eligibility even after this coming year, but I can't imagine that he'll come back. But Matt, coming into 2020, we saw Jamie Newman mentioned very high. No one's talking about Jamie Newman at all. Mac Jones came out of nowhere. He's a first-round guy, possibly top 5 guy. What does this mean for JT, and what should really we expect? I mean, we've got a lot of data we're missing here, namely the 2021 season. But what is the potential of JT Daniels in terms of the NFL draft in 2022?
Well, I think his potential is sky high because of what he has the potential to do in 2021 with Todd Monken in year 2, with these backs that are going to help him out, with these talented receivers as soon as they get healthy. I think you combine all that, he should have a big season in 2021, especially because he ended the last season so well, those final few games, and he's proven even in G-Day that he has a very, good arm. I don't know if it's Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson type of good. I don't know if he's a top 10 talent. But if he has a monster, Kyle Trask numbers-wise, Mac Jones numbers-wise type of year, then I do think he's very much capable of being a first-round pick, especially when teams are so desperate to find their guy at quarterback in this league, the NFL. If you don't have a quarterback, you're not going to win. And so you see a lot of teams try to get their guy early in the draft and reach. So I think, like this year, I think next year, a lot of teams are going to reach on quarterbacks. And I don't know if it's necessarily as deep or talented, but he's going to have, a few guys he's going up against. Sam Howell at UNC is going to be a first-round guy maybe. Spencer Rattler at Oklahoma, I think he's going to have a really big year this year. I think teams are going to like him and the skill set that he brings. Keaton Slovis, maybe one of the bigger reasons JT Daniels left USC. He had an outstanding year in 2019. Struggled a little bit last year, but if he can have one more good year, he might be a first-round guy, Dean. And then Iowa State, Brock Purdy, and then Desmond Ridder, a guy who we said both played pretty well against Georgia's defense in that Peach Bowl. I think a lot of teams are going to give him a look too. So it's not as good, I think, as this draft class, but I do think he definitely has the potential to be a first-round guy next year.
I want to touch on a couple of points that you made there, or some of the language that you used. You said reach. You know what, man? When we were growing up, coming and getting Mac Jones at number 3, that would be a reach. Anymore, I don't. That's just what it is. Kyler Murray, Sam Donaldson. I almost called him Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold, Sam Donaldson. Quarterbacks just anymore are the most important thing, and it's becoming that they're the most you can throw them out, and this isn't like it was when you drafted Matthew or Cam 10 and 11 years ago, 12 years ago in some cases. So I wonder with JT, part of the reason why quarterbacks go high is because they're quarterbacks. Part of it is because situations at franchises just don't work out for quarterbacks there. I mean, you're looking at, I don't know what's going to happen in Houston, but that's another problematic area. And correct me if I'm wrong on some of these, but Indianapolis, I'm not sure what's going on there. There are people who seem to have answers, like the Chargers, obviously the Chiefs, the Browns just picked up a 5th year. Lamar Jackson just picked up a 5th year. They can both those franchises can franchise those guys. I don't know if JT Daniels is a franchise quarterback. But Sam Darnold doesn't appear to have worked out to be one yet either. And Sam Darnold was a top, whatever pick. It's amazing what we spend picks on these days. And JT has positioned himself with he's playing better, man, at Georgia than he did at SC. And people really liked him at SC, but he was more careless with the ball. I don't think he was reckless necessarily. But at Georgia, and this is something Kirby's talked about a lot, the lack of turnovers has been a big deal with him. I mean, you and I banged him for the Cincinnati interception in an end zone. But, man, I can't think of a lot of times where he's turned the ball over. And honestly, you look at their schedule. I mean, Clemson's a good team, no question, but their secondary is not a bunch of ball hawks. And, this could be another year where he could have, I don't want to overdo it, he could have 40 touchdowns and 7 interceptions in a season.
Yeah. He's proven that he can make those NFL type of throws, and we saw a lot of them in the Peach Bowl. But I think after this draft, most teams will have their quarterback, but there's going to still be teams who need one.
Panthers.
The Steelers are going to have to get their next Ben Roethlisberger after that. If the Eagles don't think that Jalen Hurts is the guy, they might have to get a quarterback next year. The Falcons have to replace Matt Ryan at some point. Tampa has to replace Tom Brady at some point. So there are still teams there. I know you said the Colts. That'll be, I guess, Carson Wentz, Jacob Eason battle.
Well, look, this is something we could talk about in another video. But when you start thinking about, Jacob, and you were around for that, and what everyone's hopes and dreams were for him. I think Mac Jones was at 2015 Dawg Night, if I'm not mistaken. Now, he may have been younger, but he was about Jake Fromm's age, something like that. So it would be about Bailey Hockman. I mean, it is stunning that, quarterbacks and Jacob Eason and Mac Jones and all this just shows how critical development is, not just in college football, but specifically with quarterbacks. And back to JT, he like Jacob, he's transferred. Jalen Hurts transferred. All these guys are transferring. Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Justin. Trevor did not transfer, but he's more and more one of the few guys. People are going to have to get used to guys transferring. But the move to Athens really has put JT in a position where he's playing in the most difficult conference in college football, and he's one of the better quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback coming into the season. He's positioned himself to be a first-round guy. How high is the question, Matt?
Yeah, if you're a top 3 guy, you're probably a first-round pick because teams are going to take a chance on you. And looking at the list, there's no reason why he shouldn't be able to be in the top 3 or 4 guys, especially if he has the year that, folks like us expect him to have. So I do think the numbers are going to be there. And again, this guy has been built to be a quarterback through middle school and high school and college now. So he's been doing this a long time. He is a quarterback, and he is a guy who doesn't turn the ball over much. He knows what he's doing.
At Georgia.
He's not a thrower. He is a quarterback, and I think there's a lot of teams who, if he can stay healthy, which is something I guess you have to say about every quarterback now, a lot of teams are going to really like him. And we've heard from Kirby and, a lot of sources close to the program how hard he studies. He checks those boxes of work ethic, working with his team, trying to learn, be the best quarterback each and every day. And I think those traits will go a long way. So, but yeah, is Sam Howell a number 1 overall pick? Spencer Rattler? I don't know if any of these guys are.
Well, but did we? Trevor's been. I love the people who talk about. That Trevor's been doubted or Justin's been doubted. Justin's being doubted right now, that's for sure. But we've penciled Trevor Lawrence in to be the first-round draft pick since 6
years ago.
I'm not over-exaggerating when I say after he won the state championship with Cartersville, going in after his sophomore year. He's been the one for a long time. It's taken away a lot of imagination. He's about to see pressure for the first time in his life, and that's taken away from some of the other stuff. I'll be honest, I can't even remember who the top quarterback was from the year before that in this past season. I guess it was the guy that went to the Chargers, but he wasn't number 1 overall. There was someone else. Anyway, the point is, this next draft class, it doesn't appear to be as deep. I think you'd agree with me on that front. Right. And it doesn't seem like it's a big highlight, but quarterbacks always, man, they are always guys that people are going to take a look at and real hard at. It's going to be amazing to me too, Matt, that the quarterback that's going to be the most highly drafted guy coming out of Georgia probably is going to be JT Daniels, a guy who didn't even sign with Georgia coming out of high school. Jake Fromm, Jacob Eason, Justin Fields. This is going to be the first guy, it appears, that's going to go that way. And when you look at everybody coming after him, it's possible you could see a run of quarterbacks from Georgia going in the first 3 rounds from here on out. That's possible. Comments?
I think you're right about that. I mean, the quarterback train is finally going, in the right direction where it could be this guy and then a next guy and the next guy. But we'll see. I mean, but that's the era of college football. Guys are transferring around
Yes.
left and right. But like we've said, this is the deepest quarterback room I've seen at Georgia in quite some time. If you want to throw in, I guess, Eason, Fromm, and Fields all being there at the same time, but this group has a lot of potential, and it starts with JT Daniels. And if he has a big year, I can definitely see him being a possible top 10 pick or even better.
I could too. Let's talk about this more over on the website, dogpost.com. We'll see you over on the website.